Breaking news out of California, the nation's most ambitious rail project just got hit with a massive shock. The Trump administration has officially pulled huge amounts of federal funding for the California high-speed rail project. Some are calling it the final nail in the coffin. But here's the twist. This unexpected move may make the project stronger than ever. So what's going on here? Let's break it down on today's episodes of Great Trainspeed. We'll unpack this turning point. First, let's rewind. Back in 2008, California voters approved Proposition 1A, nearly $10 billion in bonds, to kickstart a high-speed train that would connect San Francisco to Los Angeles in under 3 hours. The original vision was ambitious: 800 miles of track, up to 24 stations, and eventual extensions reaching Sacramento and San Diego. Beyond speed, the project promised cleaner air, relief from congested highways and airports, and billions in long-term economic benefits. California hoped to prove that the U.S. could rival Japan's Shinkansen or France's TGV. But reality soon proved far messier. What began as a $33 billion project slated for completion in 2020 has grown into a $100 to $128 billion undertaking, with timelines stretching decades ahead. The Central Valley Starter Line now targets 2031 to 2033, while the full San Francisco-Los Angeles route may not open until after 2039. Still, tangible progress exists. On the 119-mile Madera-Shafter section, over half of the planned structures are finished, nearly all of the 2,291 parcels have been acquired, and extensions to Merced and Bakersfield are deep in design. The project has already created 92,000 job years, funneled $11 billion into California's economy, and completed 86% of utility relocations across 1,826 sites. Yet setbacks have loomed just as large. Rising costs, lawsuits, lengthy environmental reviews, and sluggish permitting have delayed timelines and inflated budgets. Political turbulence only deepened when the Trump administration rescinded $4 billion in federal funding in July 2025, branding the effort a boondoggle and train to nowhere. Federal reviews of other high-speed rail ventures, like the Northeast Maglev, were also shelved, highlighting Washington's growing doubts about rail megaprojects. But just recently, the administration unveiled a major update that could shift the direction of California's high-speed rail, both in the short term and for the long run. What exactly does this mean for the project? Let's break it down in the next section. And if you want to keep up with the latest news in the world of trains, don't forget to subscribe right here on Great Trainspeed. In early August 2025, California's high-speed rail project received what many are calling a temporary lifeline. The Federal Railroad Administration, FRA, under the Trump administration, agreed to place $4 billion in disputed funds into a legal trust, while the courts decide the outcome of California's lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Transportation. This decision, announced around August 7th to 8th, prevents the immediate redistribution of the money and effectively buys the state more time to argue its case. The funds, now held in escrow, are vital. State leaders describe the move as a protective shield that avoids an immediate $14 billion shortfall, threatening to stall work on the Central Valley corridor between Merced and Bakersfield. Senate Transportation Dave Cortese emphasized that the concession keeps construction moving, while Governor Gavin Newsom stressed that it provides California with breathing room in court. Still, the underlying financial challenges remain steep. Even with this reprieve, the authority must close a $14 billion gap to complete the Central Valley line. Former peer review chair Lou Thompson warned that without either recovering the federal funds or finding new state revenues, even the Central Valley segment could remain unfinished. To date, much of the project's funding has come from California's cap-and-trade program, which has generated roughly $6.4 billion since 2012. Newsom has proposed extending the program through 2045 to guarantee at least $1 billion annually, while the Rail Authority has begun courting private investors, though experts note that investors will only commit if there is long-term certainty of state support. At the same time, lawmakers are working on structural reforms. SB 445, introduced by Senator Scott Wiener, proposes strict permitting timelines, faster utility relocation, and clearer coordination rules to avoid past bottlenecks. Supporters argue these measures are essential to keep momentum, but critics remain skeptical. Analysts contend that demand has yet to be proven and suggest the corridor could ultimately be repurposed for housing or parks if the rail line fails to materialize. Supporters counter that the groundwork already laid is significant. Over 400 miles of route have cleared environmental review, giving the authority the ability to act quickly once funding is secured. That similar megaprojects in Europe and Asia also faced early cost overruns, yet went on to deliver lasting value. Whether California's system becomes a long-term success or a cautionary tale remains uncertain. For now, the FRA's decision provides a critical pause. It stabilizes momentum, ensures construction in the Central Valley continues, and offers a reminder that despite political headwinds, California's vision for high-speed rail still carries both urgency and possibility. Yet despite all the hurdles, many still view this project as a promising step that could redefine the future of rail in the United States. What's your take? How do you see the Trump administration's actions affecting this effort? Can construction realistically move forward? Let us know in the comments. Type 1 if you think the decision was right, or 0 if you believe America should take another path. In the face of federal pushback, California has chosen to double down on its high-speed rail vision. Governor Gavin Newsom pledged at least $1 billion annually from cap-and-trade revenues through 20, a commitment that could generate nearly $20 billion over the next 2 decades. For investors long concerned about stable revenue streams, this represents a critical foundation. At the same time, the state has filed legal challenges to restore the $4 billion in federal funds revoked by the Trump administration, making it clear that abandoning the project is not an option. In Sacramento, lawmakers introduced SB 445, legislation designed to cut red tape by streamlining permits, utility relocations, and eminent domain cases. The proposal even calls for appointing dedicated judges to fast-track land disputes, a measure intended to keep thousands of construction workers on the job and prevent delays from spiraling. Public opinion has also shifted in ways few expected. Take a look at Reddit. People had all sorts of takes. Some were just happy to see good news for once. Oh wow, pleasantly surprised. Spend it immediately. Others felt a bit cautious, reminding everyone that while the courts might block Trump and Duffy's move to revoke funding, since it was patently and obviously illegal, California should still keep building with its own money, just in case. And then there were the jokers who lightened the mood. Let's just call it the Trump train. His ego would make him fund the whole thing, and we'll just rename it after he dies. Once dismissed as a train to nowhere, the project now enjoys record-high approval, with 67% of Californians supporting it, a jump from the mid-50s just a few years ago. Support is particularly strong among Democrats, 82%, younger voters and communities in Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and Black Californians, where enthusiasm exceeds 80%. Analysts point to rising frustration with traffic gridlock, crowded airports, and a growing desire for sustainable infrastructure in an era defined by climate challenges. Economically, California has the strength to go it alone if necessary. With a 4.1 trillion GDP, the state has the financial muscle to replicate the path Japan took in the 1960s, when it launched the world's first Shinkansen without relying on outside help. If stable revenues are secured and bottlenecks removed, the California high-speed train could form the backbone of a new American rail era. Another clear sign of growing support from local and state leaders is the opening of the Tulare Street Underpass. First proposed back in 2017, the long-awaited underpass has finally become a reality, celebrated by local and state leaders right next to Fresno's Chinatown. Stretching more than 1,000 feet long and 60 feet wide, the structure drops over 20 feet below the Union Pacific tracks and future high-speed rail line. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. See you soon.